Hello guys and welcome back to Disney Owls. I know that this may seem a little bit strange. I've got my cat who's currently rubbing against my tripod, so the camera's probably shaking. I got this cat here. My bed's not made because I don't want to disturb her. Oh, hiya. Hi. Oh, beautiful. So this is a little bit of a weird video. It's because, yeah, I've just really missed making YouTube videos. So I thought I'd sit down and do one no matter what's happening around me. So here I am. Today we are going to be talking about the live action Mulan. I love Mulan a lot. A lot. This cat is called Mulan. That is literally her name. The bedding I currently have on my bed is 90s Mulan bedding. So I would say that I'm an absolute Mulan mega fan, just to get that clear. I love Mulan, I love everything to do with Mulan, so this is a hard video for me to make. So just the pre-warning, there are going to be loads of spoilers for the live action Mulan. Yeah, because there's no way I can talk about this film specifically without seeming too harsh, without giving you specific instances of why I don't think it was very good. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into my review of the live action Mulan. So the first thing I want to say is I didn't absolutely hate this film. I just question it because before it happened, we were told that there weren't going to be songs and Mushu wasn't going to be in it, which is a fine choice to make. Okay, I mean, I don't think it was the right choice, but cool, make the choice. But the problem was that the reasoning they gave us was to make it feel more realistic and true to the culture. I have issues with this because it didn't seem more true. If anything, it felt even more like a fairy tale because they took chi, which is, from my understanding, I'm no expert, but it's a energy that you kind of have in the universe and that you can work on and tap into. The problem I have is that in the live action Mulan, while I understand the premise is a good solid idea of having chi and making it a bit more like realistic to the culture, the issue is that she was born with it. The first opening sequence, she just has chi and she's told to suppress it, just like Elsa is in Frozen. So there's this element of needing to be born special or born with something. In the animation, you see her go through the struggle. You see her, you know, literally fall on her face when she's trying to learn how to fight. But it is her determination and her will and just everything about her and who she is as a person and what she wants to strive for. That is why it makes Mulan so cool, because it teaches young people, not just girls, but it teaches young people that you can do anything with hard work and determination and training and just to really go for it. So I feel like the live action lacked there because she wasn't taught that. Like, and the parts where she just takes down her hair and rides straight back into battle without any armor on, well, that's just silly. So if we're talking about realism, you know, they shouldn't have said that they were going for a more realistic adaptation because that's just not true. They essentially swapped out some of the elements for different things. For example, Mushu was swapped out for a phoenix. I struggle with this because the phoenix adds nothing to the story. The one that like floats around by her, and then there's this bit that's really just too on the nose for me where she stood up about to save the emperor and the phoenix is just behind her. So it's like she is the phoenix. And it's like, does it need to be that unambiguous? It was a little bit on the nose for me. I wasn't a massive fan of that whole thread with the phoenix. I feel like the live action took out some of the heart for me. In the animation, we see her actively make the choice to step in for her dad, which is really cool because you see him struggle to go and take his kind of sign-up letter from the guy on the horse, and you see him limp back into the house but keep his pride, and then when they're at the dinner table he is really trying to be strong and hide how he feels. And then you see Mulan kind of peeking on him when he falls over when he's practicing with his sword. And that for me is a mega moment where you see her realize that her dad is scared and can't go to war and probably will die. And it's that realization for her where she takes a turn and realizes, right, instead I'm gonna go for it. And then in the animation you have this major sequence where you have the music behind that's like, and it really builds up the suspense, and you're like, whoa, what is she doing? And it's like, and it's like, oh, iconic music there, an iconic moment. You see the transition through those scenes, whereas in the live action, that literally is non-existent. She sees him struggle. So first of all, in the live action, what I hated about that part of the film is he falls over completely on his face in front of the whole village, and I just think that's a little bit too much. Like, then everyone can see that he's not up to the job, whereas I liked that in the animation it's a little bit more subtle until we see him fall and we see Mulan's realization of that, but behind closed doors. In the live action as well, you don't see her change. You don't see her cut off her hair. You don't see the armor. You don't see any of that massive transition. That's a huge part to the story and connecting with the characters. So I felt like the live action really relied on us remembering that and remembering how we felt during that sequence, rather than actually doing it for us again. They also said that they were making it more realistic and not putting in Li Shang because they didn't want her to have a love interest, but she still did. It just didn't complete at the end. Ooh, got interrupted because my parents are home with loads of shopping. Where were we? She does have a love interest. It's just not fulfilled at the end. We don't have any of the, would you like to stay for dinner? Would you like to stay forever? Which is hilarious. Where is the grandma? Where is the lovable old grandma? I feel like the Disney films do really well at loving generations. One of my biggest problems with the live action versus the animation is the animation is all about ancestors and family, and it's so good, whereas the live action tries to be about that stuff, but it lacks something. So, for example, we see the part where Mulan is brushing her little sister's hair and she says that there's a spider in there, and so the seed is planted that she hates spiders in a really obvious way, which is fine, but then we see that that is what ruins her matchmaker meeting. The spiders and the hating the spiders, which for me feels like a cop-out. It feels like they're only doing it to not use Cricky on purpose, when if in my opinion, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, they didn't need to change it for the spider, and the animation on the spider left something to be desired. There were moments of CGI where it just really pulled me out of the film. I wish it didn't, but it did. The main issue I have with it is loyal, brave, true. That point is pushed on us so much in the live action that you feel like it's really forced. Villains wise, we were taken out of the Shan Yu yellow eyes, really just a pure bad guy, you know. The parts we saw, like, oh, how many soldiers does it take to deliver a message, and then we just see an arrow being shot. You know, you don't have to have loads of like death and destruction for him to be menacing. It's just clever ways to do it, whereas I felt like in the live action, because we had the introduction of the witch and she wasn't actually that bad, it was odd. Even the way that it was filmed so that they could use her kind of magical like capey things, it felt really weird to me. I just didn't like it, because the villain wasn't villainous enough. It all relied on the witch. So then what should be the big epic scene at the end, where the emperor is about to burn, didn't feel that threatening. It felt like you knew Mulan was gonna smash it. There wasn't a moment where I thought that she was really defeated, and I think that's down to the fact that the villain wasn't villainous enough. Also, they can't say they want to make it more realistic and then have no blood or anything in the battle sequences. Now I can see why, but also I feel like there are ways to do that, and I just felt a bit disappointed. Having said that, this film was still really good. I just, you know, you're gonna compare it to the original animation, of course you are, especially when they've given us such high hopes and saying it's gonna be realistic, and this is why we're taking out the songs, and this is why we're doing this. And don't get me wrong, I appreciated the little hints of score that were in there underneath it. You could hear little bits of the original, but honestly, it felt like there were moments where you could have had songs and it wouldn't have felt less realistic. Like, there's a part where they're just about to train the army and he's like, oh, you know, I'll make men out of you or something. He references something to do with that, like, and then it just pauses and it cuts. And I'm like, that is the perfect moment. Let's get down to business. Or he could have even said, let's get down to business, or something really to reference it properly. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it actually would have worked with songs really, really well. They added a lot of the emotion to the original animation, and perhaps would have filled in some of the gaps in the live action for me. Having said that, the costumes were beautiful. The casting of this film, I can't fault it. I still laughed, I still cried, I still thought it was a really good film, but of course I am going to compare it to the original because I'm a mega fan of the original, and that's fine. I just also felt like some of the justifications for the decisions that they made, like taking out the songs and taking out Mushu, it's just not true, because it's not realistic. Having a witch is not realistic. Having a phoenix just floating around is not realistic. The animation of the phoenix, I actually, like the CGI of it, I felt was really distracting from the overall story. So overall, live action Mulan left me a bit cold, and I don't want to say it. I really honestly genuinely wanted to love it. I feel like maybe it would have helped if I saw it in the cinema, because obviously this was a straight to Disney Plus release, of course, with everything going on. But also I wasn't sure about how I felt about that, because I love the cinema and I feel like it makes the film lesser already by not showing it in the cinema. I mean, let me know what you guys think. I know there was a lot of like unhappy people with the price. I personally think that the price of it, which was, for me in the UK, it was £20 to have premiere access. So you have to, you can watch it whenever you want now, new on Disney Plus, before anyone else. Everyone else gets to see it, I think, in December. I didn't actually think that was a bad price, because if I go to the cinema, it does cost a lot. However, I want to see it in the cinema, you know? I love seeing a new Disney film in the cinema. However, I tried to give myself the cinema experience, you know. I sat down for the whole duration, didn't get distracted, wasn't on my phone. So I did give the film a proper chance, I'm not saying that. I just left a bit disappointed. I thought it was really good, but I don't want a Disney film to be really good. I want it to be absolutely amazing. And I personally think that the animated Mulan does that. I think if you loved the live action Mulan, I understand why, but just go back and watch the animation, and then I think you'll realise, because the first thing I want to do when I watch live action Mulan is go back and watch the animated Mulan. So I think that kind of tells you that it's not my favourite. I'm sorry, and I hate it. I hate being harsh about films, because I know how much love and attention goes into everything. It's still a good film, because I also felt like it took a bit of the human element out of it, having the kind of comedy from Mushu and Cricky and their relationship. And yeah, I don't know guys, it wasn't for me. So leave me a comment down below, let me know what you thought. Please don't be angry with me if you did like the live action. I didn't not like it, I just did not like some of the choices, and I don't think it was better than the animation. That's everything. I'll be back soon with more videos, so hit subscribe and hit like if you liked it. Like I say, leave me a comment letting me know. Let me know your favourite song from the original Mulan as well, because there are so many to choose from. I think mine is probably Make a Man Out of You, because I love Reflection, but it's a little bit too emotional for me. Takes me back to a place I don't want to be. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you so much, and love you all. See you very soon. See you later.